You are listening to The Soul's Quiet Call, written by Akumah and voiceover by Sara.
Akumah Audiobooks.
Chapter 32, A Love Renewed. The evening sky stretched above them, bathed in the soft hues of twilight. Meera sat on the balcony, her legs tucked beneath her, the cool air brushing against her skin. The world below was winding down, the hum of the city fading into the background as night began to fall. But up here, on this little slice of the world they had carved out together, everything felt still, timeless. Aarav came up behind her, his footsteps light as he approached. He didn't say anything at first, simply standing beside her, taking in the sight of the city, the peaceful silence that had settled between them. Meera could feel him there, a quiet presence, yet somehow more grounded than ever before. She turned to him, her smile soft and warm, a reflection of the calm that had settled in her heart. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" she said, her voice gentle, as she looked out at the horizon. "The way the city lights blend with the stars." Aarav nodded, his gaze following hers. "It is. But I think it's even more beautiful when I'm with you." The simplicity of his words, the sincerity with which they were spoken, caused something inside her to shift. There had been so many moments of uncertainty, so many fears and walls built between them. But now, in this moment, all those fears seemed distant, as if the very act of being here, together, was enough to quiet them. Meera took a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything they had been through, everything they had faced, dissolved in the quiet serenity of the moment. It wasn't perfect, nothing was. But it was real. And for the first time in so long, she felt at peace with it. "You've changed me, Aarav," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "In ways I never thought possible." Aarav's eyes softened as he reached out to her, his hand brushing against hers before enveloping it in a steady grasp. "You've done the same for me, Meera. I never thought I could feel this way again. Whole. Connected." She smiled, her heart full. They had both faced their demons, their darkest fears, and yet here they were, standing side by side, no longer bound by the past, but free to step into a future they would create together. "I used to think that love was something to be afraid of," Aarav continued, his voice low but steady. "I thought it would swallow me whole, that it would take away the pieces of me that I needed to hold on to. But with you, I've learned that love isn't something to fear. It's something to build on." Meera's breath caught at his words. It was the truth she had always known deep down, the truth she had always wanted to believe in, but had been too afraid to admit to herself. Love wasn't about losing yourself, it was about finding the parts of you that you had forgotten, the parts that had been hidden beneath layers of pain, fear, and doubt. "I've been afraid too," she admitted, her voice soft but sure. "Afraid that I wouldn't be enough. That my gift would always get in the way. But you've shown me that love isn't about what we can see or what we can control. It's about trusting each other, even when we can't see the whole picture." Aarav pulled her into his arms then, his embrace warm and reassuring. Meera's heart fluttered as she rested her head against his chest, the steady beat of his heart grounding her. It was as if every moment of fear, every shred of uncertainty, had melted away in this embrace. They were no longer bound by the weight of their pasts, but by something far stronger, an unspoken understanding, a love that had endured, and now, had transformed them. "I never want to go back to who I was before," Aarav said, his words muffled slightly by the sound of her hair brushing against his chin. "I don't want to live in fear anymore. Not with you. Not when I know what we can have together." Meera lifted her head to look at him, her gaze steady and filled with emotion. "And I don't want to live in the shadows of my past either. I've spent so long hiding behind what I can see, behind the gift that I thought defined me. But now, I just want to be me. And I want to share that with you." Aarav cupped her face gently in his hands, his eyes searching hers. "You've always been you, Meera. Even when you didn't know it. And I've always seen you. Not just the gift, not just the woman who knows everyone's heart, but the woman I've come to love. A single tear escaped from her eye, and Aarav wiped it away with his thumb, the gesture tender, full of care. Meera smiled softly at him, the vulnerability in her heart no longer something to be ashamed of, but something to be shared. I love you, she said simply, her voice steady despite the emotions swirling inside her. Not just for your past, or what you've been through, but for who you are now. And who you're becoming. And I love you, Aarav responded, his voice thick with emotion, for all that you've been, all that you are, and all that you will be. Because you've shown me how to love. Truly love. Without fear. Without hesitation. The world around them seemed to fade, leaving only the two of them, standing in the quiet space of their love, free from the weight of expectations, free from the ghosts of their pasts. There was no longer any pressure, no longer any need to prove anything. They were enough, just as they were. Aarav leaned in then, his lips meeting hers in a kiss that was slow, deliberate, and full of meaning. It wasn't a kiss driven by desperation, but by a quiet certainty that they had both come home to each other. That this connection, this love, was the foundation upon which they would build everything else. When they pulled away, their foreheads rested against each other, their breaths mingling. We've come so far, Meera whispered, her voice barely audible. And I don't want to ever go back. Aarav's arms tightened around her, as if trying to anchor her to him, to the love they had created. We won't, he promised. Because we're here now. Together. And that's all that matters. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. They didn't need to. The silence between them was comfortable, filled with understanding, with love that had been tested and had endured. Eventually, Meera pulled back slightly, her eyes searching for him. What's next for us? She asked, her voice gentle but hopeful. Aarav smiled, his hand gently brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. Whatever comes next, he said, we'll face it together. We'll build on this. On us. Because we've already proven that we can do anything, as long as we have each other. And for the first time in a long while, Meera felt the certainty of their future. There were still challenges ahead, still moments of doubt and uncertainty. But they had something stronger now, something that could withstand the tests of time. Their love, renewed and strengthened, was their foundation. And with that, they could face anything. I'm ready for whatever comes next, she whispered, her smile radiating warmth and hope. Aarav kissed her forehead gently, his voice steady with a quiet promise. Me too. Because whatever it is, we'll face it together. Always. And in that moment, as the city lights twinkled below and the stars above seemed to bear witness to their love, Meera knew, with every fiber of her being, that they had found something beautiful. Something worth fighting for. A love renewed.
Akumah Audiobooks.
Refer to the channel playlist for a better experience and close your eyes to let your imagination run wild. Subscribe.